Welcome to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and, of course, a little bit of copyright thrown in just for fun. This is Elizabeth Townsend Guard, your host, and I'm a law professor at Tulane University Law School and a faculty fellow at the A.B. Friedman School of Business at Tulane. And I just want to quilt. So today we're talking with the famous Pam Cobb and Lynn Reinhart of the Stitch TV. Yes, they are here. They're talking about all kinds of things, including the experience at Houston Market and Festival. We talk about all kinds of stuff, and they're insanely awesome.
We are the Stitch TV show, and I'm Lynn Reinhart.
I'm Pam Cobb. We are calling from Woodstock, Georgia.
Awesome. So fun. And it looks cold because of your hat.
Hair. We say cold
Hair.
because, it's 40 degrees outside.
I know, us too. I was like, I need mittens. I need a scarf. It's like 40 degrees.
I think the rest of the United States would kind of laugh at us for our 40 degree, It's cold outside.
I regularly work with people in Boston, and I was like, guys, we're getting a wintry mix. I expect the city to be shut down for 3 days next week.
It's true.
It's going to put a damper on our holiday office party.
Exactly. We might get snow, and then we have 3 days off because it might happen, So,
right. Yeah.
I did buy bread and milk.
Did you really?
But not
I
eggs.
didn't.
I mean, also I have children that eat a lot of bread and milk, so it was legit.
That's not something we keep in the house. We don't have bread and milk in the house.
You don't believe in bread or milk?
I don't eat carbs, so bread's out right there, and milk goes with chocolate cake, so I don't have chocolate cake because of the carb.
Because it's cake based. We are kind of cake based over here. We believe it's a food group.
I think it should be, and I really want it to be, but just I'm healthier if I don't have it.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah. I found I really like Raisin Bran Crunch cereal and milk. I found it in like my 50s, right? So now that's all I want to eat. So, I'm making up for like many years of no cereal.
It's got fruit.
Yes.
It's got
it's
protein.
Crunchy. It's true.
And it's crunchy.
I'm so crunchy.
Yes, it is good.
The milk, it makes the milk good. The milk ratio, it's kind of like milk with a little bit of cereal. It's kind of good.
Yeah.
This episode brought to you by Raisin Bran Crunch.
Totally. And it's like the look at this. See, we get the generic brand. It's like $1.88 a box. Like, what can you eat that you have many meals that's $1.88 a box? I don't even know how they're making it. I don't want to know because how can they have a profit on that? But yeah.
That's like rice and beans territory.
Totally.
Which we had last night at my house.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is officially a quilting podcast, so we're gonna talk about something. Yeah, I know. It's kind of gone off the rails. It's kind of interesting.
It's totally on brand for us.
Totally. Well, that's because it's you guys. Like, how could it not be like this, right?
We literally just had a conversation about the benefits of Scotch tape.
Really?
It's Scotch tape season when it starts.
Right.
Like where you have
we're getting ready to be in high,
heavyweight championship of Scotch tape season.
Right.
Coming up.
Yes, it's true. Good. It is their moment. It's like the glue at the beginning of the school year, Elmer's glue and how cheap it is because of all the school kids going back.
Which you need for quilting, by the way.
The glue.
Oh, yeah.
And I use the sticks. Do you use the sticks too? The glue sticks?
Yes.
Glue sticks. I use the glue in a lot of different techniques.
I haven't really gotten on board with the whole, doing hexies with the glue thing. I don't know. I'm kind of old-fashioned. I don't like the glue on my hands. It's gross.
Yep, there's a lot of things you can do with Elmer's school glue. Definitely use that.
Oh, we used it for Halloween costumes too.
Did you?
Oh, you could use it so you would spread white Elmer's glue on you would color with a marker, like green or something creepy. And then you would put a thin layer of Elmer's school glue on your skin. And then when it came time for trick-or-treating, you'd rub it a little bit. So the gross stuff showed through, the Elmer's glue dried and turned into your fake skin. So we were prototyping Hollywood makeup stuff.
Wow, that's amazing. How much
I've
did you put
never
on
heard
you?
of this.
That's really cool. All right, I'm eating one more bite of crunchy stuff. Sorry. Okay. So one more bite of crunchy stuff and then we'll go. Hold on. I mean, this will still be in the interview, but I'm sorry about the crunching.
No worries. So, like, the TV show V was about, like, lizard aliens that came to Earth but wore, like, fake skin masks in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And so my sister went as a character from V, and so she needed, like, the fake lizard skin underneath her real skin. So,
Wow. That's
There you
really
go.
cool. That's
There you
amazing.
go. What you
Okay.
learn from the stitch is astounding.
I know. You guys are amazing. Now I just want to, like, color, but not with a Sharpie, right? Like regular.
yeah,
Like, that would be
the
bad.
water-soluble Crayola marker.
Yeah, that would be better.
There you go,
You
because
can-
then it washes off.
Yeah,
and then
as opposed to like orange weird skin for a really long time. Okay, so you went to market
We
and to
did.
festival.
yes.
Have you recovered? That would be the question. Are you the same person or the same people? No, I don't feel the same. What's that about? Like, does it ever go away? Like, that was a lot. I'm just like, that was a lot. It was a lot.
Well, for me, I guess, if we're talking about feelings or whatever, for me,
Feelings.
Feelings inside.
Well, like, there's a sense of when you have this, YouTube show that you're just doing it to entertain yourself in a lot of ways. Like, it's fun to talk. One, we both enjoy getting together and talking, so that's fun. And we're talking about what we love, which is quilting, so that's fun. And market for me was a real, slap in the face from the standpoint of, wait a minute, what you're doing is real and people are watching, and like there's a huge reality there that kind of went, what?
So tell me a little bit about tell us about you guys had a booth at market, and then you taught a lot at festival. And then you came to visit us in our booth to kind of just like sit for a little while because that was our booth. So
Lend a celebrity air, as it were.
indeed, it was a celebrity sighting. We're like, oh my God, they're back! It's so great.
So crazy.
Drop everything. The Stitch TV people are here.
We had some interesting people who, I was just amazed that people are like, oh my God, you're the Stitch. And we're like, yeah, we are.
Like, here's me eating a salad
Yeah.
with an audience.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I love it.
I think that YouTube bubble that we've kind of created within, ourselves and what we do. And I think we're very open about, talking about, stuff we like. Really, the conversations you see on the Stitch are real conversations that, I think we would have whether the camera was turned on or not.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
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 And I think, market, and it's something we expected, like, well, we must have a presence at market regardless of expense in order to legitimize ourselves.
Okay, so let's stop there. Why?
So our show is primarily targeted at quilters, but in order to build a business, you need to figure out how to work with quilt shops, because that's really how you reach local community. Like, we're reaching online community, which is a subsegment of the total quilting market. So we know that our average viewer age is lower by about a decade than the average quilter age, just based on the survey that Quilting publishes. When we look at our Google Analytics, average quilter age, mid-60s, our average viewer age, mid-50s. Now, yes, that's still a retiree age. It's still an aging market. It's not necessarily millennials, people in their 30s, but it is a younger demographic. But in order to reach and get our patterns, classes, like all of that out there, we have to start working with quilt shops. And so this was our first way to figure out how to do that. Now, we've done it locally with Red Hen Stitch Shop here in the Atlanta area. But in order to, we met with people in the Carolinas and Chicago.
That's really exciting. That's really exciting. And and did you feel like people were receptive? Like, how was your market experience?
I think the market experience was really positive for us. And we talked a little bit about this on our show on a recap, but, the shop owners really hadn't heard of us, which was kind of an interesting, until I realized probably on the second day, said, they haven't heard of us, but their customers have.
Right, because they're too busy and overwhelmed, right?
Right,
They're not,
exactly. And that's what I I figured out later. But it was like, so then, when we were talking to shop owners, we were saying, you may not have heard of us, but we are talking to your customers.
That's interesting.
So that makes them more interested in talking to us.
Yeah.
Because their customers are, fans.
Right. And so they'll get excited about the patterns being in the shop, because now let me ask you about the goals, because we're all about like, what are our goals? We're like in this goal space of like, what are we supposed to be doing? So this is what we're going to be doing for the next month of kind of while the students are gone. You have this, like, what matters to you? So you have the YouTube show, and do the numbers matter there, or is it the selling patterns? Is it sponsorship? Like, what is the business model, or like, what is the goal of what you're doing?
So I will say, we've been doing the show since 2015. We started selling patterns in 2016. And 2016 to 2017, most of our pattern sales were through the local quilt shop owned by Andy Barney.
And it's great. I mean, like, you see that I bought it. Like, I bought it. Like, I was like, we were supposed to go to dinner, but I hadn't met you. But I bought it just because I thought, I really like this pattern, right? So I think that's really awesome. Right. That, like, it's something about the patterns just kind of speak to people, and like, I want to make that, which is what you want.
Yeah, so for the first year and a half after we launched our pattern line, most of our sales were print through that one shop.
Amazing.
And then since then, it's shifted to more online sales. And I will say the most recent pattern we launched, A Star is Born, debuted at Market. The episode where we hung it behind us in the talk show, like, was the one that dropped during Market. And that is the first time we have seen that, like, an episode dropped and we saw an immediate after effect of pattern sales.
Right.
And so our show is meant to be a marketing engine for our pattern sales. This is the first time.
Right.
And already that pattern has made it into top 10 sellers online as a result.
That's
even
really
though we've had patterns that have been out for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Because I was updating the numbers. We have new pie charts. We have updated pie charts.
I love the updated pie charts. That's so cool.
So I was like,
I haven't seen these pie
like
charts.
This,
but...
And part of it too, that pattern is very similar to our other bestseller at the shop, You Spin Me Right Round, which is like a jelly roll and another piece of fabric, like a piece of yardage.
And people like that.
Yeah, and A Star is Born is a layer cake and a piece of yardage. And it's not an insane amount of fabric. And most people have like a jelly roll they like or a layer cake they like.
Right. And you're looking for patterns, because I have to say, strangely, there are not patterns out there the way you think there would be for a jelly roll or for a charm pack. Like, it's weird that, like, there'll be like 5 charm packs or blah blah blah, or like it's not like, and if you find them, they're kind of dumb. So I'm just kind of amazed that there aren't more. So you guys seem to like that. That makes sense to me. I'll probably be buying more of your patterns. Unfortunately for me, I have to spend some more money, but I do like your patterns a lot. And so, I think that's a mark for me when I'm like, okay, well, I have to buy it, because it's like, whatever. So, I don't know. I spend a lot of money at quilt shops, though, so,
Puppies are excited.
Josie has found something outside to bark at. So
that's
sorry.
good. Ours should be barking soon, too. And the cat is finally settled looking out the window, so that's good. Okay, so Market. So getting known in different shops. The shops were ordering patterns or just getting to know you, or both? Yeah.
So both, I think. The first day, what we learned, and especially after talking to other people, the first day is like the looky-loo day. People are just...
Yeah.
Attendees are coming and trying to see what they want to circle back to. So we had conversations, and what we discovered is, one, a learning for us is we need a little more cohesive design story.
Yeah.
Because, we use the fabrics we like or the fabrics we have in our stash for our sample. And so, basically our booth theme was quilts.
Right.
It wasn't, and we have show colors that we use and gravitate towards, but they didn't particularly look cohesive. Do
you think that you'll start to try to pair with fabric companies on... or do you like, the thing that I do like about your patterns is that it's just regular quilting. Like, it's good that way, But do you think that people want to make it the way you made it, so that you might be looking at partnerships with fabric companies?
I think we need to keep that in mind. I think, whenever we make a sample, I would love it if one is paired with a fabric line and another is like, here's a scrap, you use it from your stash. Because I think people are at a place where they want to use their stash because they're like, holy crap, I bought so much fabric.
Yeah, it's true.
And, one thing we've experimented with is like, okay, we debuted A Star is Born using Krista Watson's fabric. Yeah. And it's right. It's on brand for me, what I call aggressively cheerful. Like, it's hit you in the face with a lot of color, which is awesome.
And Krista's stuff is so great. I love Krista's stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Super.
and I imagine it's easy to connect to her as a, you know, like she's receptive to the pattern and having it, you know.
Oh yeah.
Well, she's become she became friends of ours 3 years ago.
Yeah, through my podcast because she had listened.
Yeah.
And then for my day job, I would go to Vegas where she lives, and we would like meet up just separate. Of like, hey,
I love that.
An event. Like, let's just. She took me to a guild meeting, so I'm
That's
like, cool.
so great.
Yeah. So I mean, Krista's been a wonderful colleague in the quilt industry as well as friend, and just been super supportive of us. I mean, we cannot be more grateful for
She's like, I mean, Krista, I have to say, let's just like talk a little bit about Krista. Krista does it all right. So, I mean, you know, she's got the pre-cut shop and she's got her patterns, but like the way she deals, but the way she creates friendships and makes you feel like part of her world, and she's supportive of your stuff. I mean, she's just been like, she's been great to us too. And, you know, it feels genuine. It doesn't feel like, you know, she gets it that it's a community, and she's like amazing. I find her to be, you know, such a good role model for people. She's really remarkable, you know?
Yeah, we would totally wholeheartedly 100% agree with that statement.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love Krista.
Yeah. So going back to the discussion about fabric, like absolutely we're figuring out, you know, how do we work with fabric companies? How do we still respect what quilters are responding to?
Yeah.
Also, like, we're all in this to, you know, have a business and to make money and to like pay our mortgages and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're still figuring out like what that balance is. And if it's like, hey, we launch a pattern and the cover quilt is exclusive to this fabric line.
Yeah.
You know, but I think, you know, one of the easy ways to show other ways is like, we'll just recolor it in EQ8 and post that picture of like, here it is.
Exactly. Give them ideas of how to make it different. Right. Yeah.
Because what we struggle with is...
Now, do you feel like... So I was just talking to Ebony Love about this. So as you got bigger, did you feel kind of weird about what fabric you did choose? Because then suddenly you were kind of semi-endorsing like that particular line, or like, did it weird you out in terms of what you were choosing? No, it didn't. You were cool with it. It didn't matter.
Not necessarily.
It didn't me.
Up until now, it hasn't. No.
You know... If I like something, I'm going to use it, and if I don't, I'm not. So I kind of, and I'm inspired by fabric or by the challenge, and I think my inspiration is very much, the question is, I wonder if I can do this. I wonder if I can do that. So any design that comes from my brain is always from that place of, I wonder if something could happen if I did this or if I did that. So fabric just adds to that.
Interesting.
You had flybys behind you.
I know. All right, the babysitting thing came by. Yeah.
So for me, it's that whole kind of concept of, I wonder if I can do this, and then exploring that to a point, then a pattern comes out of that. Yeah. And so I will say that we both use our stash heavily.
That's really great. You know,
and like a lot of my patterns are designed around stash.
I like that, you know, because that really should be you know what I mean? Like, we all have that, and it's hard, right. You know?
Well, and I think millennials and the modern quilt world, you know, for the first years of their inception, it was like, buy stuff for this project and do it. But then you have over fabric, and now they're looking at it going, what do I do with this? Yeah. And so I think that's, you know, the next stage evolution of what we're doing.
Yeah. So interesting. All right. So Market. So you got through Market, you had a booth. How was it setting up the booth for Market? Was it stressful? Did you enjoy it?
I don't know if you're like me, but when you go to the grocery store and you don't feel victorious until you carry every stinking thing in one load.
Really?
That's how I felt about Market. Of like, all right, we loaded my car up, I have an SUV, to the gills, and had like a carrier bag on top.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, and some of that was like, oh, our luggage and clothes we had to wear that week. Right. So that got left back at the Airbnb. But like, we're like, all right, we're fitting it all in one load in the car.
Yeah.
We got it from the car into our booth in 2 loads. It
Wow.
was amazing. And that was like a full-on roll of carpet.
Well, there was strategic packing too.
Oh, yeah.
Like we had a
Yes,
cart
I
that
need
we
you to come help us pack because we didn't do that well.
It was
It
was a
was
lot of space
legit.
planning.
I mean, we definitely thought through a lot of stuff to get it there. But honestly, we set up our booth. Of course, Pam's super organized, and that's the best, spreadsheets.
Jeez.
That's the reason we got to
Oh my
market.
gosh. Okay, you have to show us your spreadsheet sometime because we need help. We did not, I mean, that's craziness.
Well, because my brain is very creative, weird. And so she puts a spreadsheet together, and I'm like, okay, I got to get this done. And so then I do the thing she tells me.
It's like a list. What's on your spreadsheet? I don't even know what I would put on a spreadsheet.
We have to figure out, table skirt. We got to figure out iPads for ordering. Do we need iPad stands? Okay, who's going to do that? So I had iPad stands.
It's all the stuff in the booth. Yeah, we did have a bunch of. Corey did that for us. Yeah.
She comes up with all this list, and then she assigns people to the list. So it's like, or my husband, who did a lot of the stuff. So, or, Pam and Lynn both, or Mike and Lynn,
we
or
did that
just
too.
Mike or whatever.
So, we did that. We had one of those. Corey did that for us. Yes. And then I would change it on her, and she'd get really stressed out.
And then there was a column of like, what date did it get done? Because
my gosh, that's craziness.
Stuff to be done
Yeah.
October 1st. Honestly, that's a big deal.
Yes.
But mostly staggering out the assignments. And then up in the top was like, what % complete are we?
No, that's craziness. That's craziness.
At the time we started, we were also thinking we're going to be vending at QuiltCon in February. Well, we got declined as a vendor, so that immediately was like, sweet, we can check off a bunch of that stuff.
Oh,
like,
that's cool. Yeah.
Not a vendor, but like less work. Hooray. Yeah. So we made it to market at like 70% of our list.
Wow.
Like we had enough done. Like, all right, we can show up. We're going to have quilts. We're going to be able to sell stuff. Like we had to set up a wholesale
But what
site.
she didn't tell me, okay, so she puts these dates out there that stuff has to get done. And I am date oriented. So like, if you want a project from me, you give me a deadline and I will work to that deadline. Now that's not saying I don't start it the night before, because I like.
Right. You're like organized. There's a lot going on. Yeah.
So, but she didn't tell me till like 2 weeks before we left. She goes, "Oh, I've totally been changing the dates on hers," and I'm like, "I can change these dates." You didn't tell me.
That's so funny. Well, we were so we had a booth at Festival. We'll talk about Festival in just a minute. And it was our first time, and we didn't know anything. We didn't know, and it was really. Did you feel like it very stressful? Was this your first booth?
Oh,
Even
God, yes.
So part of my job, in my day job, I work with an events team that does booth design and setup.
Really?
Because I'm in charge of content.
Well, that's a good thing to have.
Yeah. And so I jokingly sent them a picture of like my basement with like a table with a bunch of boxes piled on it and like a bin of quilts. And I'm like, look guys, it's our
booth. Right.
Work with, it's our booth. And they were like,
right.
Gosh, do we need to help you? I was like,
It's funny. It's funny. When I told the dean that we had a booth and I was asking for money to outfit our booth, he was like, first of all, you need a pink couch? Like it's a law dean. He's like, why do you need a pink couch? I'm like, because we need it. And he was like, well, can you get a smaller booth? I was like, no. We are excited about the size of our booth. But yeah, it was confusing. People were on our side. We were not event planners. We are like, confused people like panicking about trying to put the booth together.
Well, I mean, the things that stress me out, and we are friends with a couple other people that have been before. So like, I'm thinking, where do we even park? Like,
right.
What time do we get there?
Right.
And,
all the logistics.
Right. And there's a lot of stuff that gets revealed to you via emails from the organizers, but there's a lot of stuff still that you're like, what? Is there a screen for Schoolhouse? Do we have to bring that ourselves?
Oh, like, that was crazy.
Like random, yeah.
Tell me, so Schoolhouse is this crazy, so for people who are listening, Schoolhouse happens before market opens. And it is everybody kind of basically pitching their products to shop owners in like 15 to 30 minute increments. 15-minute increments? 30.
Most of them were 30.
30-minute increments. And it's kind of insanely chaotic. There's like 21 rooms or something like that. and people are running about, and some people are giving out free stuff, and like there's just a frenzy that's insane. I think I find schoolhouse really stressful, but I don't like that. I mean that doesn't, that's just because that's who I am. But
it's like the high school nightmare that you're running late to class.
And which class to go to, and like there's all these overlapping things, and how are you going to go to which one, and there's no way to find it, and the numbering system is the worst, right? Because you can't find anything. Like the numbering system's really weird because of the way that
they numbered some room wrongs because
they published the calendar
really
incorrect. We were a part of that glitch.
Really?
Yeah.
And how did that affect people getting to you?
Well,
we still had a full room.
We totally had a full room, but the reason we caught it was one of the gentlemen who came to our room super early said, "You realize that in the catalog it says it's this room, but when they sent us the information, it was the room that we were in."
Oh, so did you go to did you move to the other room?
Yeah. Well, it was correct. So, it was incorrect at the day at a glance, but it was correct.
Oh no.
Calendar.
Right. So I went down and got that straightened out, and we didn't have to change rooms, which was good news because I thought we were already set up.
That's a lot. Yeah.
And for us, it was a little bit intimidating from the standpoint we knew the concept of schoolhouse, but we had never seen a present.
You'd never been there. It was so there was this Chinese food restaurant in Tucson that we were totally convinced have heard the concept of a Chinese food restaurant, but had never actually been to one. That was like one of our jokes when we were in grad school. It was like, they have never actually been to a Chinese food restaurant because it was just weird. That was the way you felt about Schoolhouse. Like you had an idea of like what it might. So what did you do for Schoolhouse then? Like knowing, and what kind of directions did Quilts Inc. give you in terms of what you were supposed to do and bring for Schoolhouse?
It was basically, you got 30 minutes. Good luck with that.
Well, we pitched an idea. They accepted 2 of our ideas that we pitched. I think we pitched 2. They accepted.
I pitched 2 or 3.
Yeah, they accepted 2 of them.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay. But my background is similar to yours in that, I used to teach college. So I'm like...
It's so weird, right? Oh, my gosh.
I'm looking at this going, this is a 30-minute lecture. We need to give them,
Right. It wasn't.
Information. And I didn't realize it was a product pitch.
It's a product pitch. It's just all product pitch.
But it's not supposed to be.
It's not.
Right. It's supposed to be more informational
and teaching, right?
Yeah, and teaching. So honestly, it has morphed in for some people to be more of a product pitch than it really should be.
Yeah,
we erred on the side of we're giving you knowledge, and that benefited us.
Oh yeah.
From the standpoint of people came up to us at our booth saying, "Yours the best schoolhouse we went to."
Oh, that's so great. Because you actually did the schoolhouse thing. Now, did you give away free samples of stuff or anything like that? You just did knowledge.
We didn't collect business cards, which I wish we would have.
Yeah, now
we know.
And you didn't do it like free giveaway and all that kind of stuff. You didn't do any of that, and they still loved you.
No, they loved us.
Yeah.
Because we gave knowledge. We gave, both of our schoolhouses were about social media.
Yeah, and people really need that.
Right. And we talked about how to get that established and all that kind of stuff. So we were much more knowledge based. And I think that people appreciated it. Not that we didn't mention the stitch or talk about, we had pictures of some of our patterns and stuff up there. But it was definitely, I think we were much better received because of that. And
so what would you do next year then? Because now would you still do the same thing?
Knowledge. You want to come to, I think that, not that we wouldn't collect business cards, we totally would do that because we screwed that up. But I would rather be something valuable for the, the shop owner, the attendees, than, hey, here's my new stuff. Yeah. My new stuff you're going to see at the market.
Yeah.
This is a time for me to
because you have them
business.
The numbers came out I guess yesterday of how many people attended, and it was 2,500, which I thought was it felt like a lot more than 2,500 people running about. I have to say.
For market or festival?
Yeah, for market.
I thought wasn't last year's like 1,200?
Really?
Yeah, it was, in last year's 2017, for those listening in the future, was affected by Hurricane Harvey. So they said that everything was down for 2017.
Yeah, and also the what is it called? The baseball thing. The
the World Series.
The World Series, right? That was happening there, like just a few steps away. So there were tons of baseball people. It was weird.
I was there last year, and I was only there for festival. I wasn't there for market.
Wasn't it weird? The baseball thing.
There as an attendee, not as a.
You never have the camera on. Why do you have the camera on?
I don't know. Hold on just a second. Well, I've told on just 1 second.
I'm gonna go get water for us, but he's still.
Oh, good. That's when the phone rings.
If you hear any concerning noises.
Okay, sure. Yeah, try to go fast.
I know. This isn't good for anyone involved, but it was the only way.
Okay, go for it. Okay. He's. Can you check on him before you go? Because there's a bunch of noise going.
The cat. It's the cat.
Oh, okay.
It's hand.
Hi. Sorry.
It's okay. Lynn's phone rang at the exact
same time. Oh no! We lost. What happened?
He's right back.
Okay.
No, stupid telemarketer call.
Oh, that's okay. All right. So, right. So market. So market ends. It's exhausting. There's a lot of talking. There's a lot of explaining. There's a lot going on. What?
We had 2 days in between where we literally, that's when we were closing out orders, fulfilling the digital orders that had been placed, getting the print fulfillment orders over to our friend Ray that does our print fulfillment. And then like just kind of decompressing.
Yeah.
Business cards we collected and sorting them into like hot leads, warm leads.
Right.
Okay, let's ask you a question. Who do you think sorted all the business cards?
I don't even have to ask. I just know, right? Another spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Do you do it in? Do you do a spreadsheet?
They totally are all in a spreadsheet.
So do you use like a regular spreadsheet, or do you use Airtable or HubSpot, or like what's your spreadsheet strategy?
Google Drive.
Google Drive. Have you tried Airtable? It's like a thing. You should look into Airtable. I do not represent Airtable, but it is like that on steroids.
Okay.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like a thing. You probably really like Airtable. You'll have to let me know, because I'm kind of on the fence about it. It's a little too much, I think, for me. But I'm not really. I don't keep I have people that keep me organized. So
yeah. So I have an MBA in decision sciences.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? That's craziness.
So yeah,
that's craziness. We have a friend that well, this is a bit naughty, so I don't know how you feel about naughty stuff. So we have a friend who is really into porn. And he was way into organizing porn more than listening to when the internet first started, like collecting all these stuff. And he found that he was more interested in the organizing of it into folders. So he went to library school.
Well, okay.
So now he's like a massive library professor. I won't mention his name because he probably doesn't want people to know that's where he started. But it was the organizing that because he was like talking to us about this sort of decision of like, turns out I like to organize it more than actually look at it. So,
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So I don't remember I don't think this came up when.
So I don't know if it's because I don't know if I'm sure that you didn't go to school for that reason. Like I'm not suggesting that that's what you went and got a master's in. No, I mean I don't want that rumor out there.
No, mine ties back to my Little Pony collection.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it really?
After I had kids, I kept my Little Pony collection from the 80s. And it was like, you need to have this at your house now. You're a grown up. And so I was going through it. And I found those colored memo cube, like the little pieces of paper.
Yeah.
On every one, I had written, there was like one piece of paper per pony.
From when you were a kid?
The pony's name, the pony's color, the pony's hair.
Oh, see?
The accessories. It was like my first database.
I love it. Is that the coolest? Were you freaked out by that? I think that's like, adorable.
Oh, this explains a lot.
It does. It really does.
Makes so much sense.
Right. It all now makes sense. See? It doesn't really matter. My Little Pony, right? It's just you liked organizing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So she organized us in the 2 days that we had off. She organized us into all the, the business leads that we had and all that kind of stuff. And we worked with...
she worked on a book proposal.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's great. That's great. So that's really great. We're
going to try to... It's in the works of doing a couple books.
That's great.
Because why stop at one?
There's
No,
two
it's
of us.
true.
Why not do two or more?
That's true. That's very true.
So,
Interesting. Will you do books on the social media side, the strategy side of it, or are you doing it on the pattern side of it?
we're doing it on the pattern side of it, more design, color, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Hold on, I gotta clip. They've moved to a different room. I'm gonna just close this door. Hold on. Okay, that's cool. Now, when you were at market, you were in the booth? Did you get out of the booth? So that's the other question. People want to see you, so you have to stay in your booth, and there's stuff going on. But then, did you try to make connections outside of the booth with other people? So how did that go?
Yeah, Lynn had a connection for actually one of our viewers and a friend of Lynn's that came and helped out. So we paid for her pass, and
that's nice.
she's an extrovert. And so she was bringing people
awesome.
in the booth.
It was totally awesome.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
it freed us up. The first day, like we would both go out, and we figured out, like, oh, that's not really great.
Yeah, you gotta leave somebody in the booth.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, our friend would be there, but it was more like, oh, we weren't going to ask her to like ring things up.
And you're kind of the show, so you gotta, at least one of you's got to be there, so people can be like, oh, where's Pam, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we would go out and talk to other companies, meet with people, things like that.
The nice thing about the booth was people would walk by and put cards on our table or
come see me at booth XYZ. And we're
who is this? Let's go see them.
That's cool.
And we got some surprising contacts that way, which was that was a benefit of being at market because you had a presence.
Yeah.
People were trying to find people to work with.
Yeah. No, I think that one mistake that we had that we'd have to ask about is that we were at festival only, and it would have been nice to have the booth at market as well, because people want to come sit and I think that it would have been helpful to have it at that point. I don't know if we could, but I think that would have been helpful.
I think you'd have to pay like the full show rate to do that because they don't have that nonprofit area.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would,
like a big, just group of tables and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to ask them. I feel like we are like a gathering spot for very interesting intersections of people. I think we have a social benefit beyond just our thing, because we really did find that people that would never have connected are connecting in our booth because they're just hanging out and they don't know who they're talking to. And then suddenly they're like, oh, you're so-and-so. Oh, that's really interesting. And so I think we have we have social value maybe, but that's my pitch to them. But I also think we never want to go back again because we're so tired that I can't even imagine trying to do it again.
10 days.
We were there 10 days.
We left festival early. We weren't there for the last 2 days.
It was the last day and packing up, and most of our volunteers had to leave early. So it was like there's 4 of us or 5 of us left to and then we had a lot of furniture, and we shipped all the furniture to Houston. So we had never had to deal with getting it home. And now suddenly we had to get a whole bunch of furniture home, which we wouldn't do next time. We would strategize of how to donate the furniture and not have to get it back. So that was, there was very much of we're just going to abandon all of this. So that was I was just tired. It was a lot. I mean, I think what happens, and maybe you felt this way too, and then I want to hear about festival, is that there's so much to get ready that by the time I got there, I was so tired from getting ready that I think I would try to backdate it so that at least we had a week where we weren't really doing anything, that we were just calm. Because there was a lot to get ready, and we did a lot of last minute weird things that took up a lot of time to do.
And sometimes it's those last minute ideas. You're like, oh, we should do this, and then you're like,
that's why we were at the coffee shop. Like, oh, we didn't bring any printouts for anything to do with the 2 block of the month programs we're launching. So we're
exactly. There's just a lot, right?
I mean,
exactly.
It was more expensive.
Yep, it is what it is. Yeah.
That's convention center rates.
Yeah, totally.
I was shocked it was how much it was to get that printed and laminated.
Yeah.
I was like, did they charge us for 15 copies? We just did 1.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? They got you. Okay, so you fulfilled your orders, you did a book proposal, and then festival happened. Tell me what happened with festival.
Well, I had applied to teach they had these kind of open studios
Demo
on the
alley
show
or
floor.
something.
Yeah.
And I had applied to teach there, and I submitted 3 teaching things. All 3 got accepted, which were great. And I told them I could teach Friday or Saturday.
Or no, Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday, right. Thursday, Friday. And I couldn't teach on Saturday because we were driving home. And so they booked us and they sent me a schedule. And it was one session per whatever. So there were 2 on Thursday and 1 on Friday, which was great. That was perfect. But then when they published the schedule, they doubled up my Thursday. So I was teaching the same thing back to back. So
oh my gosh, that's a lot.
4 solid hours.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of teaching.
And
yeah, that's a lot.
And it's a loud venue.
It's loud. It was loud.
Super loud. So I'm projecting for 4 hours.
They didn't have a mic on you?
And I didn't have a mic, so that we learned. And the second thing is, and this is just me, the reason I have a deep voice and have a rasp in it is because I have my vocal cord. I'm a teacher. I've always taught. And one of the worst things that can happen to a teacher is voice polyps.
Yeah.
And so I have a couple of polyps on my vocal cords, which means I can lose my voice quickly. And so you were a godsend just for me to sit and not talk.
Oh, really? That's nice.
Yes, because I had to rest my voice.
Yeah.
And I think that we will never do again. Teaching is great. Like we had great response. People loved, the information I was giving out. That was all perfect. The 4 hours solid stressed my voice. Yeah. And then to just have a 2-hour break and then do another 2 hours.
Yeah.
It was a long, Thursday was really long. That was the longest day for me.
Yeah. And you're at the end of a long thing.
Right.
And the thing about festival just feels like there's so much going on there that it's kind of calmish with market. And then suddenly you're like, it's just more. I don't know. The energy level of it is I wasn't really ready for that. I was so tired by the time I got to festival.
Yeah.
That,
It was a long, so that I would apply to teach again. I wouldn't apply for 3 sessions.
Yeah, you do less.
And I definitely would limit and would never teach back to back and would get a mic.
And I think on top of that, the topics that you picked, only one really directly related to something that we could sell.
Got it.
It was purely educational, much like our experience with school.
And were you selling? Were other people was this an opportunity to sell the patterns? It's just another opportunity to sell the patterns.
Yeah, and we didn't bring a ton of print copies with us because we knew whatever we sold at market was going to be drop shipped because the shop owners aren't there to buy stuff and take it back in their suitcase. Aside from saying free. If they're buying programs or patterns for their shop, they expect it to be shipped to them. We didn't have a ton of print copies.
Right. So we sold everything we had, but
and I think too, although Lynn is the stronger teacher of the two of us, I'm much more of a troubleshooter. Mm-hmm. I think we need to do it so that we're both up there, so there is some break where I'm there and able to step in, so she can.
Yeah, it's just a lot. Yeah, I get it.
Honestly, because when we did the schoolhouse, we did one together, and then the second one Pam did by herself, and she did a great job. But we both walked away going, okay, these schoolhouses were successful. But we realized that
we're better together.
We are better together. We would feed off each other. We have.
I get it.
We bring each other's energy up. We're just such a great compliment to each other, and that's our brand.
That's your brand. That's right.
So
totally, that makes sense.
Even though I do the lion's share of teaching workshops and all that kind of stuff and lecturing, I like it when Pam's there with me.
Yeah,
it's better.
Yeah, so, I get it.
Yeah, well, she was teaching. I was the bathroom fairy for some of our friends.
Yeah.
So,
that's nice.
Other context.
Yeah. So I was out by
I get it. You wouldn't really because they were solos in booths, so they needed.
Right. And I was like, "Do you need a restroom break? I can watch things."
The quilting army would come to people's rescue. So the teachers that would we knew a couple of people, and then they're like, "Hey, we heard that you have a quilting army. Can you come help us with X?" So we were dispatching people all over the place for help.
I slung scissors for Famore for a bit. And helping him out.
That's great. I love it.
So we'll go back to market. We'll definitely go back to market. We will not do it the same way. We feel like we've learned some lessons.
Now, will you go to?
Will be in our future.
Yeah. Will you go to Kansas City? There's a market in spring. Will you do spring market?
No, unlikely at this point.
Because it's just too hard to do a second market.
I don't know that we have product that's going to be that much different by then.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want to definitely have new stuff available, and be,
we got to sort out our schedule a little better of what we're launching when. I think
that's part of our goals that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, we got to figure out our goals too. So we're confused. I mean, there's lots of possibilities, so we're excited about the possibilities, but we got to sort of figure it out.
You got to focus your energy so you can accomplish your goals instead of trying to do everything all at once.
Right.
I mean, if we got to figure out what our goals are, so that we're kind of this weird project. So our goal is to experience stuff. So the question is, what do we want to experience next? And so, and figuring out a way to make that a learning experience for the students that are involved. So, because we always have at least one class that's involved with whatever we're doing. So, thinking that through. Hold on just a second.
No, we don't need anything.
You good? You're just taking a break? Hi. Oh, I didn't see you.
You didn't see us.
I did not. I didn't see you both. That's awesome. Hi. It's okay. We can cut this out or not. Yeah. This is Jackson. Want to say hi? Hi. There are people there. They're in a different part of the country. Yeah. That's Jackson.
I said.
That's okay. You could totally hide behind the. Hey, there's Jackson. How cool is Jackson? And there's Sid.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all
Fine.
good.
We're good.
Hello.
It looks like it's cold there, doesn't it? See your hat?
It's raining where we are.
It's raining.
Maybe it'll
supposed
snow.
to
It's
snow.
raining here too.
It's totally raining here too.
Yeah, it's raining a lot.
Do you think you'll get snow?
House by next door.
Yeah. Yep.
My
All
kids
right.
hope there's a snow day on Monday.
Yeah.
I do.
What?
I hope there's a snow day on Monday.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Then I'll miss the ugly sweater contest at my office.
I love snow.
You love snow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even
I love
stand
looking at
I
it
wish
from
I
a
could throw
distance
people
window.
snow.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
All right.
how
Well,
I
this is the crowd over here. So we've
We
now.
have dinosaurs and we're making Christmas cookies in our Play-Doh.
It's true. I know.
Man, I've only got like circles and holly leaves.
Actually,
You're so
we're making
cool.
a snowflake cookie that's really good, and we have a dinosaur cookie too.
What?
What?
Bananas.
That's so fun.
Jeez Louise, I was gonna say that. It's a banana.
I gotta get more sprinkles.
Sprinkles stuck.
Yeah, my son's got to make some gingerbread house at school, so I got to get him some
gingerbread
sprinkles.
house? I was gonna eat a gingerbread house for breakfast this morning.
What? You can't have gingerbread houses for breakfast. You gotta have a gingerbread
just ate
waffle
one.
house for
It's
breakfast.
in my tummy.
Just let them finish talking.
All right, guys. So festival, market, bye. Nice visiting. Life is life. Yeah. So I think it's all great, and I just totally adore you guys. And it was so great to have you in the booth, and it was really fun. And you're just amazing. And I totally just it was so funny to meet you because I felt like we knew each other. So it was really nice to just it was cool. You're just cool.
We like to be transparent.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. Well, we're working on a couple of things. I want to just run by you, see what you think. So, one, we're working on thinking about the Army as what is the power of the Army? So, thinking about sort of, when we get samples of stuff from people, sending it out to a whole bunch of Army people, like making us into an influencer group and what that would mean and how you would do that. So that's part of the experiment of thinking through that. So that's one idea, is to sort of make the Army into something, Army-like. What do you think of that? Like that because we've done some research on influencers and what regular people influencers is such a thing. So if you had a group that was like a whole bunch of regular people, then you could send us stuff, and then a whole bunch of people could be posting about it and all that. So that you would send to the JustWannaQuilt brand, but then we would sort of be an influencer group as opposed to an individual.
Yeah, I think
That's an interesting thing, because I agree with you. Influencers are becoming a part of the social media world.
Yeah.
And I've not seen what you're talking about, where it's, you look at that and you look at it, influencers tend to be a person, small unit. But you're talking about making Just Wanna Quilt a influencer kind of group, which is an interesting concept. I don't think that I've seen that outside of, you know what I mean? Like when you think of influencers on social media,
I mean,
it's just one person or a team or a small team.
Yeah, what you get into with that is typically influencer relationships with products. Companies are exclusive. So,
right. So the question is, so that's the question of kind of, I think there's two kinds, let's see if I'm right. There are two kinds of thinking about influencers. One is like a brand ambassador kind of official relationship, right? The other is kind of the way we've been learning about this from my my husband's class of 19 to 21-year-old kids who are way into like makeup. So you've got like the regular people in the world that are like doing videos, and they don't have they're not endorsing it, but they're using the products, and it's just like real world things. So I think there could be two sort of paths of that.
Yeah, okay.
And also we get a bunch of free products because when people come on, especially if it's like a thing, they send stuff. So the idea is like, instead of me just sort of experiencing it, that we could be like, hey, here's 5 people that are going to help me experience it and post about it. And so that it's still kind of centralized. It's not kind of just random stuff. I don't know. We're just experimenting with it. I see so many times at brands like your brand, like Tula Pink, that it's personality driven. And so the question is, does it have to be personality driven? Can it be a group that has a mindset of a certain thing? And can a thing like a amorphous thing like Just Wanna Quilt become sort of an influencer just as a group? I don't know. That's the experiment.
I don't know that I've thought about it like that, so I think it's interesting.
Have you seen the website patternreview.com?
No. Tell me about patternreview.com.
Garment sewing specifically. But it is basically a site where people say like, oh, simplicity, 2876, which I just made up. I have no idea what pattern that is. And people post their different experiences of like, oh, well, the fit was weird and I had to adjust the bust, or I had to raise the crotch. And they branched out and they did sewing machine reviews as well.
Yeah, I see this.
Definitely see something like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Where it's like honest reviews on a neutral site. So people
reviews on a neutral site.
Them have bad reviews, like, and it's
just the stuff that they have. They're not.
It's Consumer Reports.
Yeah, basically.
It's Consumer Reports.
It's Consumer Reports. It's really interesting. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll figure that out. And then the other one we're thinking about. Well, there's 3. There's the other one that we've talked about kind of having a platform to help people with their copyright issues and all that kind of stuff. And that's.
Oh, I have some questions around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
And in terms of being involved in it, or in terms of copyright problems?
Just in terms of, and I think it's a really gray area, but, artists, derivation, that's
derivative works, yeah?
Derivative works. Where is that line?
That's the question. So that's kind of what we've been researching and working on for like the last year. It's really complicated.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so there's this great photo that I find online.
Yeah.
Can I make a quilt based on that photo, but it doesn't use...
Right.
Like, because you can't reproduce what I've done.
Right. Well, you could get clearance from us. So this happened when Krista Watson had that thing happen during, is it festival or market? So Pam Weeks, who's the curator of the New England Quilt Museum, she was my roommate for market. And so that came in. So Krista Watson had a pattern. She had posted on Instagram, and then somebody else made a pattern that looked almost identical to her pattern. So that's kind of what happened. And so she posted saying, hey, guys, I'm not sure what to do about this. This is kind of weird. This happened to me. And Pam and I were literally just like hanging out. We were both sleepy, but in our individual beds in the room. And I said to Pam, is that original? Like, is that design original, or have you seen it like a million times? And she was like, oh, it's original. I'm like, oh, well, it's infringing. And we're like, oh, we got to do a business. So, like, the idea is that you could quickly have a sense of, like, this is, like, if you saw a picture online and you were like, I wonder if, like, this is an original thing, or is this, like, a common pattern that I could just do it on my own version? You could quickly submit that. It would go to a copyright expert. It would go to a legal expert, and then you'd get a quick opinion. So you could be using it as a an artist, right, to sort of clear it, to say, look, I did my very best. I'm not a willful infringer. I checked. This is the report I got. It would reduce your damages hugely, right? Because willful infringement's $150,000. Not willful, like best, you tried your best, is like $200, right? So it changes the whole game in terms of that. And it also sort of makes it clear that, like, this is what you were looking at, this was what you were inspired by, and you cleared the copyright so that you felt comfortable with it. So that's one way to think about it. The other side of it is, if there was an infringing aspect, you could, so like in Krista's example, we say, look, it is. Do you want to send a cease and desist letter? Do you want to say do a notice of takedown? Do you want to register it? Do you want it appraised so that you know for insurance purposes how much this pattern is worth? And then do you want to get an insurance policy so that if you are suing them, you can cover the cost of the attorney's fees costs. So the idea is that it escalates it so that very quickly, if you really care about it, then you can have all of this happening almost instantly to say, please stop using it. Please pay me the fee that you owe me for using it. Or, you can get a license, like it would be a checkbox so that you could easily just send it all out so that at 2 a.m. you could be like, okay, there's a problem. And by the morning, you have had the copyright person review it, the quilting expert review it, and you've made a decision so that it's all sort of streamlined.
I guess mine is more along the lines of, okay, so so it's this scenario.
Okay.
Andy Warhol looks at
yes.
Campbell's tomato soup.
Right.
And he paints it.
Yes.
But that's derivative work. He didn't go to Campbell's and say, "Can I
get?" Not. That's right. He did not.
So my question is, I look at a picture online from a Marvel movie.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
I create an image from that, but completely out of a different medium, which would be fiber compared to print media.
Now, are you taking an actual image of it and recreating it, or are you putting your own twist on it? That matters for
it. I think inherently you put your own twist on it because it's in fiber.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because copyright...
That to me is really great.
Yeah. Well, copyright says, which is really weird, copyright says that if you take a still image from that movie and you make it perfectly the same, like you work really hard to make it identical, that's a problem. But that's a lot of skill. But if you do something that's inspired by it and it's a fan thing, it's less likely to have problems. Now, the question is that you're going to sell the pattern. And so that becomes really interesting. Let's say you are. Let's say you are doing, because people do that.
Okay, but tell me the other side of it. I'm not going to sell the pattern.
Then you're fine.
But I may sell the artwork.
That's fine too. I'm okay with that. Yeah, it's a fan-based work. Nobody's going to care. Are you going to sell it for more than $50,000?
Probably not.
Probably not.
What quilts sell for more than $50,000?
Right. Nobody's going to really care. Right. Nobody's going to care. I mean, that's what the content owners don't really care anymore about, like the small, tiny uses of things. They also know that First Amendment's protecting fan-based works, and that the case law is telling us that if you're transforming something or commenting, criticizing, and using it as a fan, the courts are more likely to find in favor of you now. This is true now in the last few years. So, yeah, you can totally... Now, you take that same pattern... You take something from, what was your example, Avengers? Was that what we were doing?
Avengers.
So you take Avengers,
which is owned by Disney, which is owned by Disney, which everybody's scared of doing anything owned by Disney.
Yeah, I really want to interview them because I'm really curious how scary they actually are at this point. I'd be really interested to see.
Well, with all this fan-based work with Star Wars and Avengers, and you've got all this Comic-Con, and
hugely.
It feels like the world's changing in this.
Right, and that's our next big project is we're doing a Comic-Con project of trying to understand sort of the relationship within that space, because there are a lot of people that don't have license. What?
Were you a part of what Quilting just put out a call for quilts based on comic book?
Who did?
Super Quilting
for the next
Quilting.
festival.
Really?
For the next festival.
That's really interesting. I'll have to talk to him.
That's why I'm asking these questions.
I think it was a fan.
Okay.
Now, so Cherrywood Challenge is the one that's really sort of led the way on this, and they did a really interesting thing. What she did is she did get permission from the estate, like the Prince Estate and Lion King, like they know about them. But what she said is that they saw it as fan-based work. So even though she has a relationship and she got permission, there is a sense of all this it's fan-based. So that's really interesting. And fan-based work kind of gets a pass, even though she's got it in a book and she's making, she is making money off of the packets of fabric and all of that. And I think that's really important for both the quilting industry and generally. So again, if it's fan art, it's okay. I'd be really interested to see. I'll have to ask them about how they're getting away with the kind of
they said don't use copyright images.
No, they said don't use copyright
in
lyrics.
the call for submissions. They're like,
that's really insane because it doesn't. So if you use a character, you're using the character. The character's likely copyrightable because it's a comic. It doesn't mean that just because you don't use an actual image, it's literal copying is only one way, right? So I'd be interested to see. Now, I still think that it's fine, right? I still think you could have a show with comics and have people do all of that. But then you use fair use. You use it as a fair base, you do it as fair use. So I'll have to look at that call and see.
So I can sell pictures of my work, but not reproduction pictures of the original picture. Picture of Iron Man.
Yeah, you have Iron Man.
Well, based on that picture.
Yeah.
But it's different because it's a different medium, and two, it's not the exact same image.
Yeah, it's mostly because you don't. I mean, truthfully, it's more practical than that. You're still really infringing the work. You might be a fair use, it may not, but really nobody cares because you're not making very much money off of it. And quilting copyright really is an economic system more than anything else. So that if you are we see when people are doing a Kickstarter campaign that raises $1 million to create their own Star Trek film, CBS gets upset. Right,
yeah,
they sue.
Oh yeah, I get that.
So I think that really the point is that nobody cares about your use because your use is considered fan art, and it's not going to be economically competitive with the original work.
That's fascinating. I think this whole conversation's fascinating.
Well, I'm really amazed that they're doing that. I didn't know, so we have to talk to them. I
think
that's really interesting.
You need to talk to them because
they should have come to me. That's so weird, right? Did they maybe they talked to Heather. I don't know. That's really weird.
But I want to submit something, but
Totally.
I do want to do fan-based work.
Just submit whatever you want.
So,
I mean, the
I'm
thing
gonna
that
do
Carl,
that.
the thing
And
that
go, Elizabeth said I could submit whatever I want.
Totally.
Write a permission.
Totally. Right. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a law professor. Right. I'm not your attorney. So
You do.
what did you just say?
I said, I bet you have fancier letterhead than we do.
I do have pretty fancy letterhead, I have to say. I do.
See?
That is one thing I do have. Right. I do. Yeah. Weird.
So
yes.
Quilting's doing that. You got to check it out. See what.
I'll have to ask them. That's really interesting, and we should do some more talking about that because I think the concern I would have for them is vicarious liability. So they are going to make money off of people coming to the show off of somebody else's intellectual property. That is a little bit of a problem because the courts say that that's not a good situation because they're inciting you to create copyright infringing works.
But I'm not trying to debate you, but isn't that what all the Comic-Cons do?
Yes and no. So what's different about the Comic-Cons is a couple things. So there's lots of layers. That's why we like the Comic-Con stuff a lot. It's similar. It's got the same weirdness as quilting, but it's a little bit different. So you get the licensed material. You get the studios are there with their people and the signing and all of that. And you get the writer publicity stuff with the people who are big fan things. Then you get in the back, at least in ours, there's always like this back row of artists. And when you talk to the artists, because I go like pretty much every year and have to wait around for the kids, so I just talk to them. They don't have any license to create the works they're doing. They're using fair use. They wish they could get a license, but they're not big enough, or like nobody cares enough to give them a license. So they are creating art and they're selling it, but they're not authorized to do that. So it's just sort of part of the system now and they also recognize the content owners, because we also have this big conference in April with content owners, and so we talk to them and we say, well, how do you feel about it? And they're like, well, it's kind of like what we're talking about with the brands of like, well, if we say how great this sewing machine is, and we don't own that brand, we're not an ambassador, it's still good publicity for them. So they recognize that their fans doing fan art and fan work, they're not going to stop them, and they're just going to piss them off by sending them a notice and takedown, but they're also promoting their brand. So there's a real sense of like, it's totally okay. Now, Quilting may have worked with the major comics industry, or they may have already talked to them about that we're going to be doing this, and they cleared it to say we're going to have this thing. But I also think if they're doing it, it'll be really interesting. I don't think the comic book industry is going to care either.
I don't think they are.
They're
going to be like, oh, good, a bunch of old ladies are making some.
Right, they won't understand.
I really want to do the quilt.
And the courts have said, the other part of it, sorry, I'm getting all law professor on you, but the courts have said in this How to Make American Quilt, the movie, that there was a lawsuit about that, and they said that public display of a quilt doesn't infringe it's not, like displaying a quilt in a quilt show is not equivalent to public display under copyright, and it's totally fine. So you're not infringing the copyright by merely putting it up in a show, which is really weird. But really great. So that means there's no public performance or public display happening with any of the copyrighted materials.
Well, that's interesting and wonderful to find out, because, and here's why. I've been on, and I am in charge of a show that determines what quilts get in.
Uh-huh.
And we've had quilts submitted that were fan art.
That's fine. Yeah.
But they got turned down.
Because they're afraid, right?
Of the Small Quilt Guild's fear.
Yeah.
And it was a Disney character.
Yeah.
That they had recreated in applique, essentially. And it got turned down because of their fear of Disney coming after the Small Quilt Guild.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that we really do. I mean, I don't know how to get to them, but we do really need to talk to Disney, because we need to talk to Disney and the NFL and these other groups that people are very afraid of like, because I've heard, I mean, I hear the Disney thing all the time, right? So, but I also hear like, well, if I get Saints fabric from my local quilt show, I can't do a raffle quilt because I'm not allowed to do that.
Is what's printed on the selvage, where it's like non-commercial use. And
but they don't know. I mean, like personal use, non-commercial use. This means something different in the legal world. So I'd be really curious to see if they really do care about that. I mean, if they do, that's interesting. And I would say if they do, don't buy their stuff, right? Like that would be my thing. But that's just me, because I just feel like first sale doctrine should apply and all kinds of other stuff. But
well, let me tell you what happened to me. So like I did a quilt for a fundraiser for this Best Buddies organization that my sister was in charge of. And there's like 15 videos out there of me creating this Roman Yossi quilt.
Okay.
And Roman Yossi is the captain of the NHL Nashville Predators hockey team.
Okay.
And he's an ambassador for Best Buddies organization and came to this gala. So I made this huge quilt. Well, I actually went to the NHL and got permission from the Predators organization.
That makes sense. Okay.
To use a picture that their team photographer, took of Roman to recreate as a quilt. And when you look at the quilt and you look at the original picture,
you can't see it.
It is definitely an artist's interpretation of that.
That's great. But I mean, so I think that's fantastic.
But what they told me was I couldn't make any money off of this. I was welcome to use the picture, a quilt, but I couldn't make any money off of it.
That's right. They don't want that. But
I didn't, because it was donated
right
to a thing. But for me, it should have been fan art.
Yeah. I mean, so that's the thing. You can ask permission, and they can they can say, the cat did it.
The cat knocked over a chair.
Yeah.
Came to pick up the chair.
Thank you, baby. I appreciate that.
That's all that happened.
I appreciate that. That's okay. It's all
I'm
good.
telling you, whiteboard with a schedule of all the interviews, so this doesn't happen.
Okay. So
Like right here.
right. Okay, we can do that. She wants a whiteboard with a schedule so that we can with the interview, so she knows when we're on and when we're off. So you can ask permission, and that Heather used to be Kubiak, but now McFarlane, says, just ask. Like, that's her strategy. Just ask. Like, it's easier just to ask. It is less stressful. You don't have to worry. But even if you ask and they say no, that doesn't mean you can't do it. Because asking doesn't end your fair use rights. So you can ask permission. There's a big case on Campbell versus Acuff Rose. Pretty Woman, there's a Two Live Crew wants to do a version of Pretty Woman that's not pretty. It's very kind of naughty. And they ask if they can use the music, and they say no, and they go ahead and do it anyway. And the Supreme Court says they totally can. So because it's parody and all kinds of other stuff. So if you had asked them and said, "Can I use this?" and they said no, you could have said, "Well, you know what? It's fair use." Like, or you could make sure you could have asked about right of publicity. It's just a little more risky, and you may be more risk averse. So you may be not risk averse. You may be just like, I'm doing this and I don't care. Yeah. But yeah, it's complicated. But I think people have to think about, when does it matter? Why does it matter? Right. And like, exactly. if you're at a teeny tiny quilt show displaying something, your version of a princess, nobody's gonna care.
No, I agree. I think you're right.
Nobody's gonna care.
So well, that's So we got totally off market. Sorry. No,
but that's kind of what we're trying to think about, is different things that we're going to potentially be doing. So maybe the platform. There's maybe some gathering kind of space. Right. There's some talk about a consignment shop like thing, so people could, when guests come on, you could post, because it would be another stream of revenue on our shop to have a couple of your patterns up. It would just you'll still be sending it out. It wouldn't change anything that you're doing. It would just be a more national platform. And so when we had guests on, we would have a way to do that. And then we would ask for a small percentage of it as an affiliate to that pattern. So we're thinking about that. It allows to create a national brand. Guys? I know. It's okay. It allows for a national brand, but also promoting other brands. So that's one of the things we're thinking about. Then we're also thinking about this copyright platform of being able to either have it as a subscription or a fee, or you could have it as a bunch of different things. So you could pick and choose. So if you needed a quick report, or if you needed insurance or a letter or whatever, that you would have it, and it would be a lot more, you would have experts there. Also, it'd be a lot cost effective because it would be semi-automated. And so that would be the other idea, is to help people with these things. And there's a platform that we're trying to work with on that already is doing something like that. So we would see if we could do that. So those are and then the brand thing. So we have a little bit too much on our plate. We got to choose which one we're going to do in the spring and which one we're going to do in the fall, because we can only do one at a time, or our students kind of get really mad at me. So that's kind of where we're at and then trying to figure out how to grow the podcast, because that's kind of what our big game plan is, like, how do you grow in this environment? Right. And right now we see it growing kind of slowly. Our numbers keep going up a little bit, but there was no huge thing after festival, or it wasn't like, and we got 10,000 more people. It didn't happen.
Yeah, we didn't have that either.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I think it takes time for everybody's worn out too. So.
Yeah. And you don't have like an email newsletter. It's just the podcast.
Yeah, we're supposed to. I mean, it all takes a lot of time to do.
Well, I mean, if you set it up so that it just goes out.
Yeah.
Every other week of like, here's the latest podcast episodes that dropped. Yeah. And it's still just keeping it.
That's a good idea. We'll try to do that. That's a good idea. Yeah. So we got to get it more automated. We don't. Yes. People keep wanting me to blog. I don't know. I can't do the blogging. I just feel like there's just really not any time to do everything. And I really did start this so I could quilt. So the idea would be like, quilting. Like the quilting's got to get back in more.
Yeah, you don't start a quilting business so you can quilt.
No.
Or quilt what you want to quilt. You're quilting what you need to quilt.
What your business partner makes you quilt.
That's it.
It's weird, right?
Yeah,
that's the quilting. Just want to quilt.
I'm gonna do this comic one though. I'm telling you, I'm gonna have
comic book one. Yeah, I have to see. Did they put it out already? It's out. Is it out in the world?
Yes, It was. We got an email about it a couple weeks ago, but I had seen the poster at festival.
I was like, wow, how are they doing this?
Yeah,
I want to know. So, but I want to. Yeah. So we are so glad to meet you too, though.
Really?
Just FYI. Yeah, we loved it. It was great to come sit at Just Wanna Quilt, hang out,
Charge our phones.
Charge
my
your
phone,
phones. That's right.
rest my voice. Although I kept talking to people, so I don't know that.
Enter
that
quilt.
worked that well.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the space. We just didn't realize that we needed to,
Oh.
you know,
We got to get you to House of Pie.
House of Pie. Here it is, quilted comics and sci-fi. Did you grow up watching Batman, Superman, or the Hulk on TV? How about Star Trek? Do you love the recent Wonder Woman, Avengers, and Star Wars movies? Can't wait for the next scene. Oh, it's crazy. Can't wait for the next season of Game of Thrones or Westworld. So they're using this as a nominative use. I'm not totally worried about it, but it is kind of weird. Have you read all of the Harry Potter and Twilight novels? Are you playing Assassin's Creed or Overwatch on your video game system? Now's your chance to create a quilt that portrays your love of superheroes, villains, fantasy, comic book, or anime characters for a special exhibit that will be on display at the 2019 edition of both Festival and Comic Palooza. Oh, that's how they're doing it. Yeah, so that's what they're doing. Right, so they're pairing up with the Comic-Con convention as a fan art thing, and that's making Quilts Inc. okay with it, because they really are pushing it into a fan fiction, fan thing, and it will be part of Comic-Con. And because it's part of Comic-Con, it is much less likely that any of those groups are going to sue them because they have relationships already. So I suspect that that's all been cleared through one of the lawyers in that, because it's a relationship that... Hey, Jackson. It's a relationship that, you know...
It's already been established.
Yeah, exactly. We're interested in sharing newly made quilts on these subjects and more with any technique, paper piecing, applique. Yeah, so it's this kind of crossover, like it needs to be 40 each, at least 40 inches, and can't be larger than 86 inches. Interesting. Yeah, so I mean, I think that's what they did. So they paired with somebody has a relationship with these people already, with the groups. They're not going to be afraid of getting sued. It's not going to be considered vicarious infringement because they have a relationship. They already have the relationship with all those people, and it's very much like Cherrywood Challenge. And so they're not going to be upset if you do a Superman or whatever. Now, I don't know if it's, do they have the... Oh, entry forms go live on the 5th. So I'm curious what they're going to say about that. They're going to probably put the what Cherrywood Challenge did is they put the liability back on the individual to say, like, if you infringe on somebody's work, you're liable for it. But again,
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. But so the big group doesn't get the liability. The little one does, and then it's completely fine, right? Like, that's kind of the system. So now if you took a pattern and you made it and you sold it, that's a little bit different. If you
That's to me a totally different thing. That's
yeah,
it's
a different thing. And I think, then again you get into the question of, like, because there are businesses out there that are based on fan-based work that they're selling. You see that at Comic-Con all the time. So the question is, how do they do that? And that's why we're interested in understanding them, and what kind of liability they're worried about. Has there ever been sort of any of these suits? And if nobody's suing anybody on selling little, fan art versions of the Daleks, then who cares, right?
Why wouldn't you sell that fan art version of Dalek?
We bought them. So that's what I do. I buy fan art at Comic-Cons all the time that are this sort of fan art that's kind of illegal, fair usey, kind of, I don't know.
Love it. I love it.
That's
I
what
love that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think as a culture, we're going to see this more and more because this is part of our culture.
Totally.
The fan base, the Comic-Cons, all that kind of stuff.
Totally.
Which I think is interesting that quilts are going to go right into that too, as a part of, what we're creating kind of thing.
No, and I think it's really good. I mean, I really hope that, I should chat with them. There should be some educational component to this so that they can help understand what this is, as opposed to just, So I'll talk with them and see if they want to do something, because I think they should have a little bit of a video up explaining it, and not just, hello, Jackson, and not just, explain why it is they're doing what they're doing, and so it's okay. I think would be really helpful and would make people feel more comfortable, because I don't think they understand what that is exactly. So maybe we could do something for them. So I'm glad you pointed it out. It's interesting.
Oh, good. Well, good, because I was interested in it because I want to make a fan art quilt.
Totally. I can't wait to see them.
Totally want to make one. Yeah.
I totally can't wait.
But I'm getting a look from her like, do you really have time? Is it on
You
the spreadsheet?
definitely have time.
I will
It's
sneak
small.
it-
What,
I will
40
sneak
inches?
it on
40
the
by 40. Totally.
40 by 40. I can do that.
We're going to have to make them into this house. I'm going to make one. Why not? It won't get accepted because I'm not kind of that kind of girl. But I mean, I don't really do that. I will make it, and then I freak out. Anyway, we'll see. I'll get the teenagers to make one. So
There you go.
there we go.
Very cool.
Cool. All right, we have talked for an hour and a
We're
half.
doing it again.
I gotta go help with
Will be a
babysitting.
Part of the next thing.
Yeah.
The shipping stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
We got to figure out shipping too.
Awesome.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
not driving again. We're gonna fly.
You're gonna fly?
Yes.
Oh, because you drove.
It's a long drive.
We
yeah.
drove
10
too,
hours
but
in
we're
one day.
10 hours. You were at 5. You just have to stop here for overnight.
Oh yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah, we have a gate. You can like put your car in. There's a gate.
Oh good. Well, we
You
need
just
to
come
talk
this way.
about that off camera then.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. All right, cool. You guys are amazing. Let's chat some more. I'm hoping to get back to see you. I loved Atlanta. I loved being there, and you've got such a great quilting community. We'll have to figure out a way to get there again. It's amazing. Okay, so we're at an hour and a half. We're gonna officially just stop. But as we go with all these projects, I'd love to involve you more and keep you on as our advisors because we really are thinking through these things and they're complicated. And the goal for us is to problematize it and just experience it because it doesn't hurt us because we're not a business. So we can do all this weird stuff without it doesn't matter.
Right.
So it's
Very
weird.
cool.
All right, cool. Awesome. I'll let you know in this post. Do you need to review it at all? I'll try to get Jackson out, but probably won't happen.
We're cool.
It's fine.
It's all good. And now I have to get permission from his mom. I'll be like, your child is in our podcast. Are you okay? Anyway, it is what it is.
We talked about cookies. So
We
it's
did. Dinosaurs. That's right.
Oh,
Awesome.
sprinkles.
Yeah, someone's going to get irritated with that on the comments. And then a child came in. Yes. Crunching and a child. Not my best moment, but that's okay. Whatever. See, like when I read the comments and when they get upset, I'm usually like, yeah, that's true. They're like, she wasn't very prepared for this one. I'm like, yeah, that's true. that happened. I ran out of time. You're right.
they're like, "What's up with your hair?" I'm
Exactly. It's
like, "Spring
true.
from my head." There's only so much
Exactly.
control I can exert over it.
Exactly. So, well, you're wonderful. I could just spend all day chatting with you guys. It's really
Yeah,
great.
we could too. We definitely
Very
could.
cool. Awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
All right. Well, thanks for coming. What are you guys doing the rest of the day? Are you quilting at all? Is there any quilting in your? Yeah.
I got
Cool.
a Bonnie Hunter mystery to catch up on.
Are you doing that right now?
I am. Yeah,
I'm thinking about it. I'm behind because I have to finish one thing, but I'm thinking about it. Have you done it before?
Yes, I've done them consistently since 2012.
Really? All right. So tell me. People are like, "Don't do it. Don't do it." But I want to do it. I want to experience it. Is it
If
fun?
you have a lot of scraps,
Yeah.
go for it. What I find, because the clues drop Friday, and then like you feel all this pressure to do it over the weekend because she does a link up on Monday, and you feel like you got to stay on top of it.
Yeah. No, I'm behind. I'm okay with being behind because I have to finish this one thing I'm doing that I really like, but I can't. Too many scraps all over the place is chaotic.
She'll
so.
take down all the instructions like beginning of February.
Oh, really? So we gotta get wrapped. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, or you can go purchase the pattern later to finish it because that's
That's the thing. Got it. Okay. Well, let's talk about that sometime. Let me get started, and then let me have you back, and we'll talk about Bonnie Hunter's mystery quilt. It's like a thing.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing.
Huge.
Huge
thing.
Like paint stores run out of the paint cards.
Isn't that craziness?
Yeah.
I love it because what you do is she releases the colors of the quilt, the mystery quilt, and then you can get the fabric, and it's based on these paint chip colors.
Right.
And it started after Thanksgiving, and it goes till when?
There's Black Friday. Usually ends right around New Year's.
Got it.
So the paint chip colors are usually released right around Halloween.
Yes, people were doing that. Yes.
Then you have
Black Friday it starts.
Black Friday it starts, and then it's every week she drops
Got it.
clues.
Well, I'm gonna get started because I already have the colors. The first one is like neutrals and reds, right? So there's first, yeah.
Or if you're like me, you just change it completely.
Change it completely. Okay, good. I feel better about that. Okay, so I'm doing it. We just decided we're doing it.
All right.
That's so cool. Awesome.
Just Pam does it. I don't do it.
You don't do it. Okay, cool. Well, Pam, I will be, freaking out and, yes, calling you. Yes, exactly.
Calling sign for those on audio.
Calling sign. That's right. All right, fabulous. You're wonderful. Do you need to review this before we post?
Nope.
Cool.
Well, are you kidding? Everything we do is live.
I know. It's true. But I have to say that because sometimes people are freaking. So it's okay. I mean, I get it. I would probably want to review it because I'm nervous about everything. So, but I do review them, actually. I listen to each one one more time, which is why I'm always behind. So
We're good.
All right.
Just tell everybody to go to Stitch TV Show if they want to know more about us.
Totally. Stitch TV Show. Go to the Stitch TV Show. That's right. Go to the Stitch TV Show. Awesome. Fabulous. You're wonderful.
Fabulous.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Elizabeth.
Bye. So you've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School. And I'm Elizabeth Townsend Guard. If you like this podcast, keep listening. Also, we have a Facebook group. Come join us. We talk about a lot of things. We also have an Instagram account. And of course, most importantly, I really hope you get a chance to quilt today.